All right, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to AmeriCorps VISTA, and welcome to the first webinar of your orientation, Countdown to VISTA Service. Your VISTA service is a year-long commitment, and this time before you start service is meant to provide you with the opportunity to learn about service and your benefits and ensure that VISTA is the right choice for you. My name is Jessica Birch.
And she's joined today by Kate.
As you can see, I love dogs, or I am a dog. I'm a talking dog, the first ever. And Kate is an astronaut because she's out of this world. And we're going to be your host today. We're from VISTA headquarters in Washington, D.C. You're also going to see our colleagues Jenny Farrell and Scott Weinrobe from Education Northwest in the chat and Q&A.
Definitely. We're super excited to welcome you all today and get you prepared and pumped for your VISTA service. To get started, we'll start by addressing the session objectives for this webinar. In this webinar, we'll address the support available to you this year, what to do in order to enter your service, what to do on your first day of service, the benefits of VISTA service, conditions of VISTA service, and answer any questions you might have. Jessica, want to kick us off?
Yeah, it's a tall order, but let's get it done. So, first and foremost, let's start by looking at the two main websites that are going to support you throughout your year and even after your service. One is My AmeriCorps and the other is the VISTA Campus. My AmeriCorps is where you apply to your VISTA position, where you complete your direct deposit information and other forms, and where you can access your VISTA assignment description. It's also where in a few weeks you'll be able to access your living allowance statements, request certain benefits, and print your service letter. The VISTA Campus is where you complete your onboarding courses and tutorials. It also has learning resources for your entire year. Additionally, the VISTA Campus is where you will find the VISTA Member Handbook, which is a great starting place for questions that come up now and during your year of service. So throughout your year of service, you will likely want and at times need support. The VISTA program involves a lot of different layers that help support the work that VISTA members are doing, as well as you directly. So first, as you can see on the screen, you are that VISTA. You're hanging out there, and right above you right there is your sponsoring organization or your supervisor. So your supervisor is there to support you in your day-to-day tasks. It's important to keep your supervisor up to date with any changes in your plans. If your plans change and maybe you can't relocate at this time or a personal circumstance prevents you from serving, please let your supervisor know as soon as possible. The person who monitors your project, make sure everything's running well, is your CNCS state office. Your state office is the office that oversees your project, and they can be a great resource for you if you have any concerns about the project or if there is a question that your supervisor can't answer. The state office is easily reached by the email that you can kind of see the example of. It's a state abbreviation at cns.gov. So if you're Texas, it's tx@cns.gov. Finally, you are also supported by VISTA headquarters, which includes the VISTA Member Support Unit, which Kate is with, and the VISTA Training Unit, which I am at, among other departments. The VMSU, VISTA Member Support Unit, is a helpful resource for questions around your benefits. There is also an AmeriCorps VISTA resource and contact sheet that is on the Starting VISTA page. Keep it where you can find it. We just posted that in the chat. You can also manage your own support by taking time to navigate the VISTA Campus and My AmeriCorps so that you're familiar with them and know where to go. And if there's any doubt, contact your state office or the VMSU through the National Service Hotline.
So now let's talk about the steps that need to be completed before your first day of service. You should have received an email that pointed you to the Starting VISTA page of the VISTA Campus. If you haven't checked it out yet, please do. I'm going to highlight what is included there and what needs to be completed by your first day of service. One of the requirements is to complete your onboarding forms. For example, direct deposit, W-4, designation of beneficiary, and end of service benefit selection. All of these forms are located on the myamericorps.gov site and must be completed as soon as possible. These forms are legally required, and again, we cannot pay you or offer benefits to you until they're complete. There are special provisions that apply to some benefits once you start service, so be sure to read all of the information. We'll review a few of these briefly later on in the presentation. In addition to the onboarding forms, you're required to complete courses and tutorials online. These online courses are located on the Starting VISTA page of vistacampus.gov and must also be completed as soon as possible. These courses provide you the necessary information to make an informed decision to serve. A special note is that the Terms and Conditions course is linked to your myAmericorps.gov account, so you can certify your acceptance. You must accept the Terms and Conditions of Service to enter service. The forms ensure you receive your living allowance and receive the benefits you're entitled to, and the courses will help guide your first few weeks as a VISTA. These must be completed before you show up to your service site.
That's right. Make sure these are done. You have a lot of time. Your service is less than a week away, but no worries, you still have a lot of time to get them done. So, speaking of your first day of service, we expect you to be at your VISTA project or the site that you're going to be serving, the office, on your first day of service, which is August 6th, which is next Monday. Those of you that are relocating must move by then, and if you're unable to show up on this date or you are unsure where to go, contact your supervisor and state office immediately. I suggest that you confirm your plans with your VISTA supervisor if you haven't been in contact for a while. If you're unable to get in contact with them, you can contact your state office. The VISTA program is not responsible for securing you housing. However, if you are in need of housing, you should speak to your supervisor first, as they are likely in the know of what's available in your area. You may also search the discussion forums on the VISTA campus to see how VISTA members utilize each other and find resources that can benefit them in their housing search. You can also take care of other housing options, but as always, avoid scams. So if it's $1 rent in DC, don't go for it, Kate. Don't do it. So then, along with your new supervisor's support on your first day, which is again Monday, August 6th, VISTA headquarters will present a webinar titled Launching Your VISTA Service at 3 p.m. Eastern. Same exact time as this webinar, but next Monday. The registration link for the webinar can be found in the Guide to Entering VISTA Service that you received last week. And when you registered for this one, you probably also registered for that one, but just to confirm. We will highlight in that webinar certain points and decisions that you must make about your service. Please know that we're not going to do a huge comprehension or comprehensive, I should say, overview of your benefits. We want to make sure that you have time to really read that, go through it, make sure you make the right decisions for yourself. On that webinar, we're also going to administer the oath of office. You're going to get more details on that next week, so don't do anything with that yet. And then also on your first day of service, your supervisor is going to give you a fingerprint kit and instructions on how to do that. And we'll talk a little bit more about fingerprints a little bit later on.
So let's talk about your service. You're about to join VISTA, a federal program that started in 1965 as Volunteers in Service to America. Almost 3 decades later, VISTA became part of the AmeriCorps family of programs in 1994 under the federal agency of the Corporation for National and Community Service. As a VISTA member, you're making a 1-year full-time commitment to strengthen and support your community. Your term of service will be 365 days, from August 6, 2018 to August 5, 2019. As a VISTA member, you will strengthen, expand, and increase the reach of anti-poverty organizations and programs. You'll work on projects with staff and volunteers to build capacity rather than providing direct service to people in need. At the heart of VISTA service is your VISTA assignment description, or your VAD. It tells you the overarching goals of your project, explains the objectives that you're working towards during your year, and lays out the specific activities that you'll do in order to accomplish the objectives. All VISTA members should have a VISTA assignment description. If you don't have yours or haven't seen it, you can download a copy of it from your myAmericorps.gov account. If you're unable to locate your VAD, or if it doesn't align with what you agreed to do in your interview, please follow up with your supervisor. Next week, we'll provide more details related to the indirect service of VISTA and your VAD. Please make sure you have your VAD by your first day of service.
So as a VISTA member, there are a lot of benefits available during your year of service. As you've seen, this page of the VISTA campus contains an overview of all your benefits. Some benefits, such as the living allowance, are available to all VISTAs. Other benefits can only be useful to some of you, such as child care. It is your responsibility to look up the details and action steps required to take part in these benefits. We're going to take a look right now at the big 3, as I call them, the 3 that generate the most questions that most people want to know about. We're going to go over there, and then we're going to take your questions at the end. So Kate, you ready for everyone's favorite topic?
Oh, I'm ready. This is perhaps the #1 concern that many of you are thinking about right now as you get excited for your service is the living allowance. Most people like getting paid.
Yep.
So information on the VISTA living allowance is available on the benefits page on the VISTA campus website. You can click on the Resources tab to access resources, find out more information about your living allowance, and learn how to live on the VISTA living allowance. Here you'll find a living allowance calendar and access to the living allowance rates. If you don't know what the amount of your living allowance is, this is the place to go. You can also ask your VISTA supervisor, the state office, or the National Service Hotline in that order. You might be interested to know when you're scheduled to receive your first living allowance payment. Your first living allowance will be on August 24, 2018. You're paid every 2 weeks on Fridays. While this information applies to the majority of you, some of you may be paid directly by your VISTA sponsor. Please double-check with your VISTA sponsor or supervisor if you're paid directly by them or not. Federal taxes are withheld from your living allowance, but state taxes are not. You must determine your own level of responsibility for state taxes. I suggest you check in with your state tax authority for more details. You can access your living allowance statements in myamericorps.gov. This is not applicable if you're paid directly by your VISTA sponsor, so again, I recommend that you check in with your project to see who you are paid by. Please note that your living allowance does not qualify you to receive unemployment compensation after your service is over. You are not an employee of the federal government, nor of your project site, so no unemployment insurance is provided. In order to ensure that you receive your living allowance, it is critical to complete the direct deposit information correctly. If the routing number and account number you entered for direct deposit is not correct, you will not receive your first living allowance payment as scheduled, and you'll have to wait at least 2 more weeks until the next pay period to be paid. Since no one wants to wait 2 additional weeks in order to get paid, and I promise you that will be the case if you enter your information incorrectly, you want to make sure that you have the correct information entered into your MyAmericorps portal. You can find the routing number and account number on your checks if you have them, or go to your online banking site and look at an account statement. You may also want to call your bank just to be 100% sure that you have the correct information.
What Kate is really trying to say is let us pay you, help us help you get paid. So triple check your direct deposit. We have no reason to think it's wrong, but Kate, tell me if this is a fair statement. At least one person with every kind of group that comes on, at least one person does it wrong, minimum.
Very true, and I'm a nice person, but when it comes to living allowance payments, it's one thing, it's the wrong information, you will definitely have to wait 2 weeks. So like Jessica said, help us help you.
Yeah.
Enter the information correctly the first time.
Exactly, and I can confirm that you're a nice person, so wonderful. So now we're going to talk about public assistance protection as it's related to your living allowance and income. So public assistance may be tied to income or the money that you're receiving. So if you're already receiving public assistance, such as TANF or LIHEAP, your VISTA living allowance and other payments you receive from the VISTA program should not affect the level of assistance you receive. Likewise, in applying for new public assistance benefits, your living allowance should not be factored in when determining the level of benefits you receive. The sole exception to this provision is SNAP, or formerly called food stamps. If you enroll in SNAP now, or at any time during your service year, your living allowance and other VISTA payments will be counted as income in calculating your eligibility and benefit level. If you were already receiving SNAP benefits prior to enrolling in VISTA, your benefits will remain unchanged. Public benefits are managed by state and local entities, and the VISTA program and CNCS is not involved in how they're administered. If you want to talk to a local representative, local caseworker, I should say, for advice. Soon after you officially start your year of service, you will be able to print a service letter citing the authority for income disregard from your MyAmericorps page. So keep an eye out for that. So let's talk about leave a little bit. Everyone likes leave days, like us getting paid, you like vacation stuff. So as a VISTA member, you have certain leave benefits. You have 10 days of personal leave or vacation and 10 days of sick leave available to you. But make sure that you read the VISTA member handbook regarding the time periods that you're permitted to use your leave. For example, it's not recommended that you take leave in the first 3 months or in the last month of service. Obviously, if you get sick randomly, that's an exception, but that's kind of the parameters. Additionally, you will observe the national holidays that are recognized by your site. You do not get excused leave for federal holidays that are not recognized by your site. So, for example, maybe a site doesn't give their staff members Veterans Day off as a holiday. Then you're expected to serve unless you request and receive approval for that 1 day of personal leave. So make sure you check in with your supervisor to know what those days are. One thing to keep in mind is if your site is closed for several days or for an extended period of time, for example, summer break or winter break, you do not get that as free time. And you either need to work with your supervisor in advance to still serve during that time, or you need to use personal leave. So if you're a school and they get spring break, you don't also get a spring break. You would either have to take leave for those days or continue serving. Your supervisor and you will monitor your time and attendance, and you can send your request for leave to your supervisor, and they will let you know, kind of how they want that submitted. All right, you get to talk about the favorite topics. I get the last one, so you get the fun one.
Yeah.
I get a fun one.
So here we are already. You finished your year of VISTA service. Amazing. No, not quite yet. But I do want to talk to you about your end of service benefit. So after your year of service, when you've successfully completed your 365 days, you're eligible for one of two benefits, either the Education Award or the cash stipend. The Ed Award, which is currently valued at $5,920, can be used to pay federal student loans or pay for education at any Title IV institution. A Title IV institution is any institution that accepts federal funds. You have 7 years to use the Education Award, and you cannot transfer it to anyone else. You can also have the option of choosing the cash stipend. The cash stipend is paid out via direct deposit at the very end of your service. The most important detail to know is that if you're unsure which benefit to choose, I suggest that you select the Education Award because you have until the end of the 10th month to switch to the cash stipend. If you choose the cash stipend at the beginning of your service for your end of service award, you are not able to switch from the cash stipend to the Education Award. More specific details regarding Education Award eligibility, institutions that may match the Education Award, and other things to know can be found on vistacampus.gov as well as on nationalservice.gov. There are ways you can postpone repayment of federally backed student loans during your service year. If you choose the Education Award, you can request forbearance, which means you do not make monthly loan payments during your service year, and if you complete your term, the National Service Trust will pay the accrued interest for the year. Be aware that the interest payment is considered taxable income. Forbearance is processed through your member homepage in your myAmericorps.gov account. Forbearance is not guaranteed, and you must initiate the process by submitting a loan forbearance request in your myAmericorps.gov account. If you select the end of service stipend, you may request loan deferment by applying to your lender, giving the reason of economic hardship. For federally subsidized loans, accrued interest may be paid by the Department of Education if the loan is deferred. Check with your lender for specifics. Loan deferment is not guaranteed. Your lender may not offer it. Perkins loans may be partially forgiven if the VISTA elects to receive the cash stipend. Go to edaward.org to learn more. For more details on everything we just covered, go to the Ed Award tutorial, which is at nationalservice.gov/resources/Ed Award. After you've officially started service, you can go to myAmericorps.gov to submit your loan forbearance request with CNCS. Remember that it's your responsibility to submit the forbearance request and check on its status. At the end of your year, it's also your responsibility to submit any Education Award payment requests, as well as interest accrual payment requests.
All right, so let's talk about this next one, which is health care. As I said, Kate gets the fun ones, I get health care, but we know health care is an important topic, and we know that it can be confusing, so we want to go over a little bit about what VISTA offers. So the Affordable Care Act, or the ACA, requires everyone, including you as VISTA members, to have insurance coverage unless they are legally exempt. So when I say insurance coverage, that's either through a parent, a spouse, through the marketplace, if you have Medicaid or Medicare, any of those, you are required to have one of those unless you are legally exempt. The VISTA program offers two different health care benefit options. You're going to choose one based on whether you have health insurance or if you were exempt from having to have health insurance. So if you have health insurance, or if you are required to have health insurance and you're going to the marketplace and you're going to get it, you are eligible to enroll in the VISTA Healthcare Allowance, which provides you a reimbursement of up to $7,350 for out-of-pocket expenses. Those need to be covered expenses such as things that are essential, not necessarily elective or cosmetic. You can use that allowance to pay for your annual deductible or co-insurance costs. You can use it for co-pays at office visits or prescriptions, and then the prescriptions themselves. The one thing the allowance cannot pay for is the cost of buying insurance. So if your monthly premium is $100, you can't use the $73.50 to pay for your premium. If you are legally exempt from having to have health insurance, so you've gone to healthcare.gov, you've applied for an exemption, and you have an official exemption number, you are eligible to enroll in our VISTA Health Benefit Plan. This is a safety net plan in that it covers basic health care needs. It is not health insurance because it does not cover pre-existing conditions, but it does cover most pre-existing prescriptions. So, for example, if I have high blood pressure and I see a doctor monthly for high blood pressure, under the health benefit plan, I can't see my doctor monthly. But if I have prescriptions for my high blood pressure, that would still be covered. You have 60 days from your start to enroll in the VISTA Healthcare benefit, whether that's the allowance or the benefit plan. Both of these benefits are administered by International Medical Group, or IMG. And to receive the benefit, you have to enroll. There are no automatic enrollments. So what's going to happen is in about 2 weeks, you're going to get an email from IMG with instructions on how to enroll. So follow the instructions there. For those of you that don't have health insurance and are not sure if you're required to, the first place you need to go is healthcare.gov. So go to healthcare.gov. They have kind of I call it a choose your own adventure, but that doesn't make any sense. It's type in your information, it'll tell you, hey, we think you're eligible for Medicaid, or hey, you may be eligible for subsidies, or hey, you need to apply for health insurance. You will go through there and apply and find out what you're eligible for and what you need to enroll in. As a VISTA member, joining VISTA is considered a qualifying life event. So what that means is you have a 60-day special enrollment period on healthcare.gov. So generally, you can only choose health insurance during open season. But since you have a qualifying life event, you can go in and apply for health insurance now. We recommend that you do that as soon as possible because that can take time. Also, just another thing here, you can't have both of these. It's one or the other, and you're only eligible for the allowance if you have health insurance, and you're only eligible for the benefit plan if you're legally exempt. So for more information, follow the links on the screen. And yeah, healthcare, big doozy there. So Kate, let's go talk about other stuff, fun stuff.
Sure. So there are actually other benefits available to VISTA members as well, beyond the top few that we've talked about. As we've previously mentioned, some of these benefits may only be available to some of you, depending on the conditions in your own life. These benefits include relocation benefits and also child care benefits. For those of you who are relocating more than 50 miles from your home of record in order to serve at your service site, you may qualify for a relocation travel and settling in allowance. You should have received communication from the VISTA Member Support Unit, actually from myself, in regards to this financial travel support if you're eligible. AmeriCorps VISTA also offers child care benefits to members who qualify. To qualify, you must meet specific eligibility requirements, such as household income limits, and must be the parent or legal guardian of a child under the age of 13 residing with you. For more information about the child care benefit and how to apply, please visit www.americorpschildcare.com.
So we just covered a lot of information. I do just want to verbally answer some questions that have come in. There are a couple that have come in about what we've already talked about. So there was a couple of questions about health care. So someone asked, VA health coverage for health care. Yeah, so if you're covered, maybe you're a veteran and you have VA coverage, yeah, that's considered insurance. You would want to sign up for the health care allowance. I think with the VA coverage, at least from what I know about it, it doesn't cost you anything out of pocket, so you may never have to use the allowance, but that's what you'd enroll in. Also, someone asked, just to clarify, we have to wait until the 6th to enroll in healthcare.gov, or can we do it now? You can do it now. So you can start looking. You can start applying now. Your start date's less than a week away, so they may ask you, like, what's your qualifying live event? And by the time you're going to be able to start processing your application, it'll be your start date. So you can start that process now. Also, a couple of other questions here. If I have to visit a doctor within the first 60 days, will the healthcare allowance reimburse from the start of service? Yeah. So if you have health insurance, and say, for example, you have to go to the doctor on the 7th, your first date's the 6th, you have to go on the 7th, but IMG hasn't emailed you, you haven't officially signed up. Yes, you can go to the doctor, keep your receipts, get your explanation of benefits, and then once IMG gets your account all set up and you enroll, you can then seek reimbursement. The health care coverage, like our health benefit coverage, is from your first day of service to your last day of service.
Definitely. I saw one question earlier where someone asked, if I already have health insurance, do I have to sign up for the VISTA health benefits? And I would say, yes, I would really encourage you to do that. It's something that is a benefit to you as a VISTA member. It doesn't cost you any money, and you're not going to be making a lot with your living allowance. So I'd say any additional coverage that you can provide for yourself, you might appreciate it later on if you have to go to the doctor or face some health care needs.
Wonderful. We'll check this last question, and we'll move on to terms and conditions. We do have some folks answering questions in the Q&A. We have Eric Howell, who's our colleague here. He's going to be answering questions in the Q&A, and then we'll also get to the ones at the end of the session. But the last one here is it's around healthcare is birth control or mental health costs included in the allowance? So yes, so all insurance, with regard to mental health, all insurance is required to cover mental health. It's considered an essential benefit. They all have to cover it. I think like women's health, and that is mostly also included in insurance. You want to look at your guide, whatever they call that, the brochure. They call it a brochure, but it's like 87 pages. So look at that and make sure what the coverage is. And yeah, you could get reimbursed for your prescription costs for birth control or for co-pays for a mental health provider.
Definitely. And just one last note on healthcare. So IMG is our healthcare provider, and as VISTA candidates and future VISTA members, I would really just like to remind you that you're your own advocate. So the information to contact IMG is on the VISTA campus website. You're also welcome to call the VISTA Member Support Unit, and we can point you in that direction. But sometimes with very specific personal cases and really anything that's related to your personal health history, the best people to contact is IMG, and that's something that you're going to have to do on your own behalf. So, yeah.
All right, so let's get to the next section here, which is terms and conditions of service. So we know that many of you have already completed the VISTA terms and conditions, but we want to make sure everyone's clear on the conditions. So we're going to do a quick interactive activity to review the main conditions of VISTA service. I and Kate are going to read a service activity, and using your annotation tool, which you can see displayed on the screen, indicate whether you believe the answer is yes or no. So to use the annotation tool, you are going to click on the squiggly line icon. Yep, it's a technical term, squiggly line icon, in the pop-up tool panel on the left-hand side of the slide. You're going to then see the toolbar pop up. Then you're going to click on the arrow in the toolbar to activate and click under yes or no or response. So if you are using a cell phone, the annotation function will not work, but you can put your answer in the chat. So Kate, you want to ask the first question?
Sure. Okay. First question. I can voice my political opinion using social media where my profile identifies me as a VISTA AmeriCorps member.
All right. So let's see here. So there's a lot of no's. There's some yeses. You know, what I like to say is do what your heart tells you. Don't fall into peer pressure. Leah, you do your thing over there in the yeses. You know, whatever you think is right. All right. So it looks like we got most people here. Most are saying no. Most are leaning to the no. All right. What's the answer, Kate?
Okay. Well, the answer is yes. You can have VISTA listed on your social media profile, but cannot represent yourself as a spokesperson for AmeriCorps, VISTA, CNCS, or your sponsoring agency. You cannot use social media while you're serving at your site or using any equipment at your site. Also, you should not put CNCS or AmeriCorps VISTA logo on your profile picture when voicing political or other sensitive opinions on social media. When in doubt, keep your VISTA service and political activity completely separate. Refer to the Hatch Act for more detailed information.
And one other thing here, because this one always gets people tripped up. So here's the thing. So if I have a Facebook page and in my, it tells you like where you lived your birthday, your work history, where did you go to school. If I put in my work history that I'm a current AmeriCorps VISTA member, so I put that in my work history, and then I do a post, in a week or two, and I just say, I believe blah, 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 blah. That is fine. The issue comes up when you say in one post, I, Jessica, as an AmeriCorps VISTA member, think la, 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 la. It's combining those two that's the issue. You can definitely say that's part of your work history, that's what you're doing as a VISTA, but when you combine it with the political activity, that's where it causes a violation of the Hatch Act. So follow case advice and refer to the Hatch Act, which is in the VISTA member handbook, for more info. All right, let's talk about the next one. All right, I can demonstrate in a political rally, yes or no? All right, most people are saying yes. It just always happens. They think, oh, I got fooled on the first one. Now I'm going to put it all in yes. Someone, dot person, is in no. All right. All right, a lot of yeses. Okay. All right, one no. All right, good, Emily. You do what your heart tells you. All right, so what's the answer here? The answer is yes. Yes, you can demonstrate in a political rally. As long as you're not identified as a VISTA or perceived to be a VISTA. The perceived to be a VISTA note is important, as you may be in a small town or a local area. So when I served as an AmeriCorps VISTA member, I served in a small Alaskan town. I was the only VISTA, and I was known as Jessica the VISTA. So if I had gone to a political rally, they would have been like, wow, Jessica the VISTA believes in la, 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 la. Which could cause an issue. So make sure that you're aware of how you're being perceived in a small community like that. Also, please, if you have any gear from your site, like if they give you a sweatshirt, you're going to get some cool stuff from us that has like the AmeriCorps logo on it, has VISTA on it. If you have that, don't wear that to a political rally. Please don't do that. If you have a question about a specific activity, you should contact your state office. But those are just kind of the main parameters. All right, Kate, number 3.
Okay, number 3. I can ask people to donate money to a partisan political candidate as long as it's on my own time and I'm not identified as a VISTA.
All right, we're getting more of a even thing.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
All right.
Okay, so still waiting for some stragglers here, huh? Well, it looks like about a 50-50 split, so drum roll, please. All right, the answer is no way. No. You cannot raise money on behalf of a partisan political candidate at any time during your VISTA year. It doesn't matter if it's off-duty or at home or while not identified as a VISTA. The Hatch Act prohibits all fundraising for partisan political candidates. You can, however, raise funds in support of an issue on your own time and not identified as a VISTA.
That's right. That's right. That tripped you up. Look at that Hatch Act. Very nuanced here. So, yeah, check that out because we don't want you to get in trouble. All right. I can have outside employment and or earn additional income while serving as a VISTA member. Yes or no? All right, a lot of yeses. And remember, if you're typing, please put it in the chat and not the Q&A. All right, looks like most of you got the answer. Yes, yes you can. There are a few parameters around outside employment. So first, if you have outside employment, it cannot conflict with your VISTA service. Your VISTA service has to be your priority. You can't say, hey, supervisor of my VISTA project, I can't show up on Tuesdays because my other job needs me. That's a no-go. Your VISTA service has to be your priority. Also, it has to be legal employment, and it can't violate any VISTA policy. So, yeah, don't do that. Also, you cannot be employed by your sponsoring organization. So if, for example, you're serving at a university and maybe you're in their education department, but you want to work part-time as an admissions counselor, you cannot do that. Same sponsor, it's considered a conflict of interest. Also, your supervisor has to approve it. So there's a form you're going to fill out. Your supervisor would review it after you fill it out, indicate what your outside employment is, and if they say, yeah, it's not going to interfere with their duties, they have to approve it and send it to your state office. Also, it has to be part-time. You're going to be serving full-time as a VISTA, so yeah, just make sure that it's part-time and that your VISTA service is full-time. More information can be found at the link on the screen.
Okay, so moving on to action items. We have provided you with a lot of information today. Before we move on to questions, let's just recap what you need to complete by tomorrow so that we can verify the information prior to your first day, which is next Monday. First things first, within myAmericorps.gov, you need to complete all of the forms listed above. If you have not yet completed these forms, you may have received an email from me encouraging you to do so, and I promise you, I will email you every day until all of those forms are done. So please get them done so that I am not clogging up your inbox.
And if you're not getting emails from Kate, it means you've done your form.
Exactly. Amazing. I'm always happy to double check for people to make sure that they've done your forms, but I would say take no news as good news. We will definitely reach out if those forms aren't complete. Secondly is the courses and tutorials. Within vistacampus.gov, you'll need to complete the courses. The most urgent course for you to complete is going to be the VISTA Terms and Conditions course. You cannot start your service without having accepted the terms of VISTA service.
So now it's time for your questions. Are there any questions around what you need to do before service or before your first day? There are two ways to ask a question. First is via the Q&A. Ask your question. Please make sure it's in the Q&A. That's the way for us to track it. And then the other is by phone. So I'm going to invite Melinda back and let us know how we can ask the question over the phone.
Thank you. And at this time, to ask your question over the phone, please press *1. Please unmute your phone and record your name clearly at the prompt. Once again, *1 at this time. One moment, please, for the first question.
Thank you. So while we wait for those questions to come in, we're going to go ahead and take some questions that have come in through Q&A. So first question, let's knock out some of these healthcare ones. Seems to be still ones that are on there. Healthcare.gov told me to check my state site, and the site doesn't mention AmeriCorps at all on its site. Should I just talk to my site supervisor? So healthcare.gov has a list of qualifying life events, and AmeriCorps is in there. That is what you need to show. So if it sends you to your state marketplace, you should still go ahead and apply. If they have questions, you can send them to healthcare.gov because it shows that AmeriCorps service is considered a qualifying life event. Another question. Let's take a look here. What do you see, Kate?
Yeah, I just wanted to go back. So there were a series of questions about relocation. So folks asking about whether or not they've been approved for relocation and then how the relocation reimbursement payment works. So as far as approval for relocation, what happens when you're placed into this virtual orientation is that your state office has actually pre-flagged you as someone who is moving more than 50 miles. So if you have not received notification or any communication at this point that you have been approved for relocation and you know that you've moved more than 50 miles, I encourage you to email me at kjordan@cns.gov to let me know, because it likely means that the state office has not brought it to my attention, because I think at this point I've gone through and approved all of the relocators. So again, if you know that you're moving more than 50 miles but you haven't received any communication about being approved for relocation assistance, please let me know so we can go ahead and make sure that you're all set to receive your relocation benefits. As far as the relocation benefits, there are two benefits to relocation. The first is going to be a mileage reimbursement that you'll receive at the beginning and at the end of your service. That mileage reimbursement is going to be for the distance between your home of record, so where you're moving from, to your project site. The way that you'll receive that mileage reimbursement is on your first day of service. What's called a reimbursement voucher is going to be posted to your MyAmericorps portal account. And what you'll need to do is print off, sign that voucher, mail it into the VISTA Member Support Unit. We'll let you know once we've received it. And then from the time that we receive it, you can expect to get reimbursed within 8 to 10 weeks. So you'll definitely have to pay for your travel up front, but you will get reimbursed once we receive your relocation voucher. And it will be the same process for your end of service. A voucher will be uploaded to your MyAmericorps portal, you'll mail it into us, and then you'll get the funds via direct deposit. The second piece of relocation assistance is going to be the $550 settling in allowance, and that's going to be paid out with your first living allowance payment. So I think that covers some of the questions about relocation, but again, if you're unsure whether or not you've been approved for relocation, please just email me directly and we can figure it out together.
Wonderful, Kate. Thank you. Let me go to Melinda on the phone. Do you have any questions coming in over the phone?
We do have one question from Jessica. Your line is open.
I didn't know I asked a question. Just kidding. Hey, Jessica.
Hi, Jessica. I wanted to know about starting the early service coursework early. If we don't start until the 6th, could we work on that this week, or do we have another webinar coming up?
Oh my gosh. I love it, Jessica. It's the name that's doing it for me because you already want to be really proactive. That's awesome. So yeah, you can definitely start that early service coursework now if you want. Take a look at it. You will need your supervisor for some of it. So some of it you may not be able to complete right away, but take a look at it. Get prepared. It'll help you start thinking about questions to ask. And then we do have a webinar next Monday at the same time as this one, but that won't prevent you from being able to start the earlier service coursework.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we have 1 minute here, and I want to make sure I am respectful of your time. So a few other questions around outside employment that came up in college. So someone asked, am I allowed to attend school? I was planning on attending college part-time. Yes, you can. You can attend school part-time. It follows the same parameters as outside employment. It can't conflict with your VISTA service. Your VISTA service has to be priority. Your supervisor needs to be aware of it and approve it, all of that. So let's take a look here. So Rachel asked, how does outside employment work with other positions in military service? Same rule and documentation applies. So Rachel, that is a very specific question, and I like it, and I don't want to give you incorrect or incomplete information. So I'm going to ask that you email Kate, because we have some people who are reservists who have to do weekend duty, and we just need to be aware of that. So please email Kate, kjordan@cns.gov, and we can help answer some of those questions.
Definitely. And for the questions that we haven't been able to address, going off what Jessica said, we do want to be respectful of your time. But I just want to make a plug here for the VISTA Member Support Unit. You can reach us by phone through the National Service Hotline. You can also reach us by email at vmsu@cns.gov. And we are experts in answering all of these questions and are very happy to help. So just wanted to make sure that you are aware of that resource.
Yes. A few other things here. Someone asked about, hey, there's parking costs at my site. Will I get reimbursed for that? That's something you want to talk to your project about. See if they have alternate options for you or a parking pass. Also, asking around, hey, I take this webinar and it's during my site hours, like when I'm supposed to be at site. Is that okay to participate at site? Yes, this is part of your VISTA service. Your webinars right now are part of your service. Your one on Monday is going to be during service time, so make sure that you're at your site and participate. That's totally fine. Let's take a look here. Another question around, can we get reimbursed for gas driving to our site? Commuting costs are typically not covered, but sometimes projects can help assist people in getting like a bus pass or finding alternate transportation, so check in with your site about that. Let me go to Melinda one last time. Melinda, are there any questions over the phone?
Thank you. We're showing no questions on the phone.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I want to respect everyone's time. We're a little bit over. So if you still have questions, we will be back on Monday. As Kate said, call the VISTA Member Support Unit if something is pressing that you need to know before Monday. Contact the VMSU. If Kate indicated that you should email her, email Kate. Otherwise, go ahead on the VISTA campus, look at some of these details, and then come and see us on Monday in the next webinar. We're going to get all the stuff answered for you. So with that, Kate, let's close it up.
All right. So thank you all so much for joining us on this call. We look forward to seeing you again on Monday for your required Launching Your VISTA Service webinar. We hope that you have a wonderful year as a VISTA member, and from all of us here at VISTA and CNCS, we thank you for your service.
Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day.